Hello, everybody. Let's head over into Lesko Health 2. All right, here we are in Lesko Health 2, and there's some new activities, so I'll click that button and see what Michelle has got going on. Really awesome post there for the Midwest region. We've done some restructuring, I'm sure you're all aware. And one of the things that has been restructured, instead of having 52 state groups, we now have 4 U.S. regions hubs. And each of those 4 groups contains multiple states. If you head into one of those regions, you can ask a question and see the news. And you can also look for your mini state grant report, and that will also tell you what states are in each area. Okay? All right, let's head into our live meetings collection. And if you're on a phone, in order to expose this contents menu, you'll need to click either Matthew Lesko's profile picture or the white 3-bar horizontal menu, typically located in the upper or lower sides of the left side of your phone screen. All right, once you've exposed that contents menu, you will typically see a bunch of colorful icons. I encourage you to find the overall tab that is the collection, that is not starting with one of the colorful icons there. Instead, you'll see this fancy arrow and a drop-down menu or triangle. Go ahead and click that, and it'll hide those internal pieces, and you can navigate the overall community much more readily. Today's class is hosted out of the live meetings collection, so we'll click that, or then you can drop your arrow down to see the spaces in that collection. Today's class is hosted out of the teaching session. When you first come in, you'll see all of the events hosted out of that space. The next tab over is going to be the answers, and those community answers are many things, but we also put the answers for today's class in this tab so that is where you will find them. But don't worry if that all sounded confusing. I will give you a couple quick steps that you can walk through to get into your notification bell and get that notification so that you can pull your answer up anywhere you are. All right. So having said that, this is Country Living and Business. It is a topic-based class, and I have an entire set of tabs to go over with you guys during this class. Those of you who have been here a few times are probably familiar with how this looks. We've gone through quite a bit of the coordinators and the farm money and home money, I believe. However, with the change of administration, things have been changing. So let's just start over and see what's new and what's the same. All right? We're going to jump into this coordinate tab. I really feel like this is one of the best ways to approach any grant hunting topic, and that is how our new spaces for topics are built. And before we jump into these resources, let me just show you what I mean by that. In our new Unlock Your Goals collection, right here, if you open up that drop-down menu and head into one of the spaces that have been released, they're all excellent. You'll want to pick the topics that you're interested in. And I really think everybody should join Pay My Debt and Bills. You are not auto-joined to these spaces because not everyone is going to want to buy a home. Not everyone is going to want to start a business. But everybody has debt and has to pay bills. So I really encourage you all to join as a first or one of many the Pay My Debt and Bills collection, or space, excuse me. We're going to head in there, and each one of these topic-based spaces will start with your action steps, and that is exactly what it is, folks. It is a step-by-step guide to accomplishing the goal for that space. In this case, paying your debt and bills. Hop right in, get a financial counselor, a free financial counselor. The next step is to walk through the processes with the resources that are out there. Each one will be a little different. They'll have 2 to 4 steps that are unique to each space. The others are things that you'll want to do to support each goal, and they're going to be very similar. Don't worry, just walk through those once. Once you've done that, you're good to go. But these first 2 to 4 steps are going to be unique to each area, and they're going to really walk you very easily through step by step how to accomplish these goals, how to get your free counselor when applicable, and then what the resources are step by step to go through each topic. So let's just click the, I really like step 4. That's my particular favorite after getting a free financial counselor. They're all very worthwhile. You'll see a video by Matthew. This is going to be on the topic. It's going to be a relatively short video. And then you're going to have your list that Matthew's talking about here. And you just want to go to everyone that's applicable for you, right? Not everybody's going to need student loan assistance. Not everybody has back taxes, medical, etc. But for each of those that you have bills, debt, you want to jump in and work towards finding grants and grant-like opportunities to accomplish the goal sets that you're working on, all right? Now, heading back into our teaching session so we can place any answers, we'll go over to our resources. All right, so here in the very beginning, you have the Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program, appropriately enough. This has changed. It looks a little different. They will change even when there's not an overall administration change. These sites will change from time to time. So that's not a big deal. It's something we have to deal with any time of the year, but it's certainly something that we'll have to deal with if there is an administration change and there's a big shift in the agenda of that administration, right? And so it just kind of walks you through what it is, what it does, program basics, eligibility, the program in action, how to apply, program history, if you need it in Spanish and Espanol. And it looks like those are just going to be further down, right? It'll just drop you down on the page. So let's look at the eligibility. Applicants for BFRDP, the Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program, must be collaborative state, tribe, local, or regionally based networks or partnerships of public and private groups. That's interesting. Networks or partnerships may include community-based organizations, non-governmental organizations, which are called NGOs, and it's a very specific type of, I do believe it's considered a nonprofit, but it's very, very specific. I do not know a lot about them. You might ask Megan P. or Misty Folds if you are interested in NGOs or non-governmental organizations. School-based educational organizations, cooperative extension, relevant USDA, state, municipal, and tribal agencies, and community colleges. And so what this is saying, it's not just readily accessible to most of us, right? However, what I want you to hear in that is that you can have partnerships of public or private groups. That means, for myself, let me put this into terms that would apply to my personal life. Well, it's my personal business life, okay? Me as an individual, that's a better way to state it. So there's a school right down the street from where we purchased our house. There's also open land right here at the end. I like to call it the end. It's the end of this town. It's the end of most of the city type structure here. We're literally at the edge of modern civilization right here. So I love it. It's so much fun. They're going to develop that part, however, unfortunately, into an industrial zone if they can find the water. That's also another part of their problem. So what I would like to do is I would like to work with that school that is right here and any others that would like to participate. They may have to bus their students in to work with it upon occasion, right? But any schools that would like to participate as well. I would also like to work with the city of Tooele and possibly the Wasatch Community Gardens or the Jordan River Walkway. There's several different organizations, and they don't quite apply to Tooele yet. This is the next county over from Salt Lake County, where you find, of course, Salt Lake City. It's very up and coming. It's going to be one of the next big areas that develop if they can find the water for it. What I want to do, of course, with my agricultural business is show alternative methods of things like storing and utilizing water. So it would really flow positively to showcase in a community park down at the edge of this neighborhood that would buffer this neighborhood from the apartments and then industrial area that's going to be there. And then I would encourage them to put shopping beyond the apartments so that the apartments too were buffered from that industrial area and had access to this park right here. Nobody would lose any property value. There would be no contention between the apartments and the homeowners. Everybody would have this gorgeous community park and community garden area that the school would also take part in. And that is a type of partnership that could participate with this program. Does anybody have any kind of question about any of what I just talked about? It was a little bit complicated. I'd love to further explain anything that you didn't understand. Please go ahead, just unmute yourselves and ask your question. We don't have a large class today. We don't generally for country living and business, not surprising, right? All right, I will continue on. I do have to kind of push you guys though, because I really want to make sure that you have an understanding of what I'm talking about. It will not be a stupid question. It will not be a bother to me. It will not be a bother to anyone else. If you didn't understand or you would want more detail about anything that I'm talking about, please let me know. All right, so that gives you an idea of one of the programs that are out there in the agricultural world. However, this is not what I was specifically looking for here. Like I said, this site has changed. That's not a problem. We just have to learn to look at the site in a different arrangement now. So what I actually had saved here was something about beginning farming and ranching coordinators. I do think I had it in a further tab, so let's see if we can find it. Well, perhaps this is it. I do like to keep them in order whenever possible. Here's Graham. Still, I'm looking for the coordinator right now, because that coordinator would help you to determine what you might try for within that grant and grant-like opportunity world. It's still good to have that mentor who is an expert and not only the overall topic, but in the programs that each individual institution provides. There's more than one type of mentor or counselor that you can get in the agricultural world. All right, let's see here if this has apply for grant, technical assistance waiver. Those are great. Obviously, I'm not knocking it. That's what we're doing here. But let me still see if I can find the free mentors. This is going to be grants.gov, the USDA's homepage, USDA Service Center, Rural Development. That's Agricultural Marketing Service. I need to make use of that. This is my dashboard. Everybody has a dashboard for their county. I can't go down lower on it, but you see there it's Tooele, Utah. That's the county and the city that I live in. And we'll continue on. These are programs and support for small and mid-sized farmers. Here we go, beginning farmer and rancher coordinators. Let's pop on in there. Sorry about that. All right. Are you new to farming or ranching? USDA can help you get started or grow your farming operation through a variety of programs and services, from farm loans to crop insurance and conservation programs to disaster assistance. USDA is here to support you and your organization. Whether you're currently farming or you want to get started, you want to reach out to your coordinator with the following information: the location of your property, county, or parish, the type of operation, whether it's livestock, row crop, fruit, vegetable, and whether you own, lease, or plan to purchase land. Once you have that basic information ready, you want to go find your coordinator. And then it looks like you can talk to somebody that heads the whole thing if you need to. Of course, we're probably not the coordinators, but sometimes it's good to know where that in charge person is. So as you scroll down, you see they even have the territories here. And let's just pick one at random here in the middle, Missouri. Oh, it's not even going to give us a website. It's going to tell you either reach out through email or call. All right. And so here in Utah, let's see here. I think I have it over on my paper. Yes. So this is Robin Fadlier that I talk about all the time, which I have written down over here. And that is how I would get in touch with her. I don't think I have that all written down. So let me just, oh, I wonder if I can. Just want this piece, guys. It's not. There we go. Got to play with that formatting. Then I'm just going to right click what I've highlighted, and I'm going to print that so that I have it. That easy. And then I know that I'm ready fully to contact her. Okay, I have her in my phone and everything, but this is just nice to have it right here. And so those are your beginning farmer and rancher coordinators, and they are excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and pop this site into the teaching sessions here in Lesko Help 2. All right. If it'll populate a preview link. And I'm going to go ahead and notify everyone. So everyone will get this, and it's going to look exactly like this. If I click on my notification bell right here, on a phone, it's generally in the lower right-hand corner, okay? It's Sabrina shared a new post in teaching sessions. You click that, it's going to bring that post right up for you, right? Now let's head back into our coordinators over here. So within the beginning farmer and rancher, let's go take a look at that application for a grant. And that was right over here. We have this whole explanation about the program. You always want to read all of the details. We don't take that time here in class because not each audience member will be interested in every opportunity, but you want to read each part of what you are looking at filling out. All right. And so this is adult and young audiences in the United States. Appropriated $75 million to develop and offer education, training, and outreach to the next generation. 2014, another $20 million through 2018. The 2018 Farm Bill, the Technical Assistance Webinar, 2024 funding opportunity is now scheduled. Please see details about the webinar, including the registration link, date, and time via the Technical Assistance Webinar button below. So it didn't really give us a whole bunch of information. It's not bad to know this. I still encourage you to read through it, but this isn't really the typical information you're going to find with this being right here. Let's look down here a little bit below. Reasonable accommodation, language access, the different programs, eligibility, more information on eligibility, private for-profit organizations, okay? So there's all these large things as well as the community-based situation like we talked about a little bit that would apply to my business. They also just have private for-profit organizations. And then it goes into that collaborative state, blah, 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 partnership, all of those pieces that we already covered. Please refer to Part 3 of the current BFRDP request for applications for complete eligibility requirements. It was posted on January 17th, 2024, and its closing date was April 4th, 2024. Typically, you would look to see that already having been released, but that's where the change in administration has kind of slowed some things down possibly. So let's do this. Let's look. Let's pull up a new tab so we don't lose where we're at. And I am going to say Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program Grant 2025, because it is called a grant. That's what the button said, apply for grant. That is the only reason I am actually utilizing the word grant. Otherwise, I would never include it. Hit enter, and you have 2025, January 2025. Let's click it and see what happens. This is the news site. What are the goals and priorities? What is the beginning farmer in terms of this grant? What is a data management plan? Are underserved populations or veterans in your audience required to qualify? Okay, so this is all right, I don't know if this will stay the same under the new administration. They have undergone a lot of overhaul, so it's quite possible that this will stay here. While they don't talk specifically about DEI, this is still set up to provide specific inclusion for areas that are underserved communities, which is essentially the same kind of language. I believe that it will really focus on areas that are lacking in funding. That's what merit-based to me would end up being, which would still, of course, fit with what we have designated for years now of these underserved or all these other words that we utilize to talk about those who don't have the same advantages where they are, right? I think financially is almost a better way to assess it, but hopefully whatever happens will be very inclusive and very realistic and actually approaches the areas that the most are needing the funding. That's kind of what it's still showing me here. So fingers crossed that that will still continue to be the case. Veterans, underserved communities, that is in the farming world, many times, almost all of the time, it will include either women, minorities, or urban areas even, because of course, agriculture is not as accessible in an urban area, right? So it's kind of unusual like that. Many other times, it's actually the rural areas that are designated as underserved. But for agricultural purposes, urban centers have less access. So that's very equitable. That's very appropriate. And I really hope that's the direction that we continue to see things going, still absolutely helping those who are the most unexposed to some of the benefits that come with funding and financial comfort, right? So that's a good sign. Okay, what is the duration? That's good to know. Up to 1 year, large, medium, and small standard grants and education teen ET grants are for up to 3 years. Interesting. What is the difference between the grants under BFRDP? The standard consists of large, medium, small, and simplified standard grants, the education team projects that they talked about above, and the curriculum and training clearinghouse grants. Interesting. Okay, large standard grant is approximately $250,000 per year for up to 3 years. Medium standard grants of no more than $175,000 per year for up to 3 years. Small, no more than $100,000 per year for up to 3 years. Simplified, $49,999 or $999 for or less for 1 year. The education team grants of $250,000 per year for up to 3 years. One funded once every 3 years. These ET education team projects are to identify gaps in beginning farmer and rancher training by evaluating all existing programs, and to develop and conduct train the trainer projects to address these gaps. Whew, I'm not reading very well today. Excuse me. Gaps. The maximum award for an ET project is approximately $250,000 per year for up to 3 years. But then it looks like you get one grant of $250,000, then you wait 3 years, get the second year's $250,000, wait 3 years, get the third round of $250,000. But I'm not sure if I'm reading this correctly. The curriculum and training clearinghouse grant is competed once every 3 years. One clearinghouse grant was funded in FY 2022. So 2025 is the year that this should come out again then, from what I'm reading. The next solicitation for this grant type will be FY 2025, maintains Farmers.gov. Let's open, it tells you it opens in a new window. That's nice. So we don't need to right click it, open a new window. It's going to do that on its own. And you have to hit OK here, but let me show you what it says. Take you to an external site. Understood. Click OK. And it brought us all the way out here, interestingly enough. Okay. Oh, that's right, because we looked it up individually. Farm Answers, the largest source of information for beginning farmers. Interesting. They have a featured library. That's always nice. Here's their BFRDP projects, programs, USDA assistance. All three of those buttons look positive. So let's right click and open link in new tab. Right click, open link in new tab. Right click, open link in new tab. Okay, so the first one that we did was the BFRDP projects, because that's what we specifically came here looking for. Project awards, you will find a list of all projects which have been awarded grants. In this section, you can read project reports from all completed projects. So what this is useful for, when you go to apply to something, this is a big deal, right? It's at least 49,999 up to 250,000. That's a good chunk of change. So you can take these project awards and you can look at the people that were awarded this opportunity in the past and see what their answers look like, see what their structure is, see what type of businesses have been awarded, so that you can see if you fit into that group, if you might want to modify a little bit to fit into that group, all of these different things. That's how you can use these types of pieces here. All right, now that didn't really have a lot of super interest for us. So let's go on to the next one, and that would be the USDA assistance. Okay, USDA assistance looks like they have 26 total items, 2 pages, ag risk coverage and price loss coverage program, conservation easement program, beginner's guide to crop insurance, conservation loan and loan guarantee program. Interesting. Let's right click this. Oh, it didn't work. I did it. I'm frozen.
Hey, Sabrina, real quick, one question. So will this kind of work for my house, or would this work for like specifically a farm kind of thing?
Okay, let's look at the overall information. They're looking for someone who's going to do projects in the community, right? So if I want to do it for my property, if you want to do it for your property, you have to find someone to partner with. It did also say for-profit organizations, but not individuals, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm starting to like work on my property, so the gardening aspect. I'm trying to something that you're talking about. You know, I just want to know if it's for rural areas like my area. You know, if I were
Absolutely, yeah. The rural area, yes. For an individual, though, you would have to find a way to partner, like with schools. That's one of the things I've talked to you a little bit about, that you could have a community garden for schools there. Another thing that works really well with schools and that would work really well for you is square foot gardening. It's
the colleges,
brought up
right?
to your level so that it's on the same level as where you're sitting, so that you don't have to be down on the ground, and it's right there where you're at.
Like a dome or something like that, where
It's like a table
yeah,
that you put a garden on, but it's right there to you,
yeah.
right? So that you can be out there accessing and participating in your gardening much more readily. I've wanted to talk to you about it, but you haven't come to the last few classes in collectively rewilding. So we don't want to go too much in depth with that, but it's something that would really work for you, and it would work for you to bring schools in, because square foot gardening for children is very, very positive. It's a very useful tool for teaching children. So for theirs, instead of being 4 by 4 feet, they're 3 by 3 feet. And again, with limited mobility, only going into about 1.5 feet instead of trying for 2 feet will also be better for you as well. So every part of it is good for you, is good for children. And that is how you can bring in funding. You may have to structure it as a nonprofit or a for-profit business, under the understanding that you're not really making a lot. It's more to bring the children benefit, your community benefit, and your property gets fixed.
Like
right?
a community, like if I were to go to like my neighbors, you know, maybe they would do the same thing.
If you don't want to involve a school, there are grants for community gardening in neighborhoods. Yes.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we do lack. We do have like a farmer's market that goes to the Barstow College down the way. So like looking to get fresh fruit and vegetables when I'm canning. So that's what I was asking, like, would I be able to do something like this and reach out to the community to like kind of help?
And I don't know if you're in the same kind of situation that Megan is, where she's so close to you there.
Yeah.
If you're in a food desert, you don't have good grocery stores and things like that.
The closest thing we have is like Walmart, and
how far away is that?
Probably like 2 miles, but it's a bus ride, you know.
That's not considered a food desert. Okay. But it doesn't mean that you can't still bring a community garden into your neighborhood and get funding for that. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so then it's going to get super technical. So we've covered that as well as I think we really need to. That gives you an idea. Let's see, this was specifically the frequently asked questions to that. Let's move this over so I don't lose this one to the money side. Okay, and then we'll move this one to over here as well. We didn't really find that one super useful. This is about where we were. Conservation Stewardship Program, funding to help producers implement conservation practices. That's absolutely the kind of direction that I am wanting to go, right? So I'm going to right-click this, and it doesn't give me that option. Let's right-click this. Still not going to work like that. Okay, let's just click it and see what happens. And unfortunately, it's going to force us to go to an internal link. So then what I do is I grab that link, triple click on it, copy or control C or right click copy, and I want to go back to where I was because I don't want to lose this list. I want to check out any of these that might be interesting to me. So then I'm going to pull up a new link. I'm going to hit control V or right click paste and hit enter. I'm going to move this over so that it's right behind the one that I found it on. And this is the overall Conservation Stewardship Program by the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which, oh, I forgot to tell you guys. A, I thought it was the I, it's the A, and I were able to get together last week. She came, assessed the property. She was a little bit too broadly speaking when she said she could basically help fund anything it needed to fit our criteria. The programs that she specifically works with are high tunnel, like any of you who have seen of Colleen Cormier, her success in getting a high tunnel, that is something that the Natural Resources Conservation Service offers here in Utah. I could have gotten that, but we're right now in such a high wind that if it would have been put up last week, it'd already be starting to shred today. A high tunnel will not work where we're at. I think that while we don't have as constant of winds as we did when we lived in Wyoming, I think the intensity reaches about what it did in Wyoming. And the reason we began discussing a Wally Peony or partially underground greenhouse was when we lived in Wyoming and we didn't want it to blow down, right? So we have to have pretty solid structures here or they're not going to last anytime. And the other option that she had available readily was to bring in irrigation. I don't want to use more water. I want to use less water. I want to showcase methods of arranging my soil so that it retains water. So that's not really a program I'm looking for either. However, she got really excited about everything that we're doing here, and she's going to go out and look for any programs that would possibly work for what I'm trying to do, which is exactly what you want to do. Sometimes even a no can lead to the best opportunity you ever came across if you make that person-to-person connection. And in their world, they're out looking for you and what your business or your goal set or whatever it is that you're working on has criteria that matches, right? So that's why Matthew says, make yourself into a person. Always be pleasant. She's telling me, oh, nope, I can't help you. And I'm still like, oh, okay, well, here's my business card. And, you know, I'd love to see you join us in Collectively Rewilding. It's free. I'm not charging anyone right now. We're just building community. And she's going to join us in there, look for the source of funding outside in her network and also in her network of farmers and ranchers. She's going to pass along my card for anybody who might want to become a content creator or a member of my business. So it was so beneficial to have her come, even though she's not going to provide funding for what we're doing. So this would be something, though, that may apply. I will just have to dig into it further to see. This is just the definition of a beginning farmer or rancher. It doesn't really give that information yet. Funding to help producers implement conservation practices. That's absolutely what I'm doing. Beginning farmers are eligible if their land is being actively farmed, producing forest or agricultural crops, as opposed to being prepped for farming. So that doesn't apply to me. And when I've talked to you guys about the fact that I need to produce $1,000 for 3 years in order to qualify, I believe this would be the type of funding that I will then open myself up to once I've produced $1,000 for 3 years. So it is a time game. It's an effort and time game. They usually want to see you putting in not only effort and time, but also at least some of your own funds. And then you just keep digging. There are so many programs in the USDA. It's almost limitless. The grant-like world itself is quite limitless, and the USDA and anything for beginning farmers and ranchers, for farmers and ranchers in general, is one of the most generously funded areas I have ever seen in the grant-like opportunity world. I do not expect that to change under the new administration. We just got to say what it is. I don't want to get into politics, right? That's not what we do here. Trump does love farmers. He also loves business. I don't see this being any different. I think that if any changes happen, they will be semantic, more in language. The offerings may change a little bit like that. It may even receive more funding. We'll just have to wait to see, but I do not see the agricultural world as being something that will have a lot of cuts to the funding. We have to have farmers or we don't have food. If we don't have food, we don't have electronics. If we don't have electronics, we don't have our world. Food is the most basic thing outside of shelter and water that we need. Those are the three necessities of life. Shelter, because even if you have food and water, but you don't have shelter, you can die. Obviously, air being the real first one, but that's 3 seconds or 3 minutes and you're dead if you don't have air. So we don't talk about that one very often. So you have shelter, then you will actually die more quickly if you do not have water, 3 days, as opposed to food, 30 days. So those are the three basic things that we have to have in our lives. And food being the third is our farmers, okay? We're not going to start defunding our farmers. All right. Now, let's go ahead and throw this one on over behind here. And we have, this is where we began for that one.
Hey, Sabrina, real quick question. So for me, I'm looking for like, I'm looking to get a survey, like a land survey for my property. Would this be a good site to look into to get funding for like a retaining wall?
Probably not for farming. You're
Okay.
looking at an individual that doesn't have the intention of being a producer. Is that correct?
Well, I'm just keeping my options open, you know. So like I do have like an area where I can do chickens and all that stuff. You know, like you know my situation. You know,
If
maybe my
you
husband
want
can
to
do
go to a
that.
nonprofit with
Okay.
knowing your situation and knowing that you need to not have a large income, if you went to a nonprofit, this is where you want to go talk to Megan and to Misty. They both have more knowledge about nonprofit than I do. But once you do that, then you can be a producer under the nonprofit, opening yourself up for grant-like opportunities without damaging your ability to continue your life as you have it arranged financially. You would need to definitely be talking to, you know, tax accountants and the different kinds of people that Megan and Misty can most readily point you towards. All of that, though, could be set up in order to enable you to qualify for many of these things. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, my husband could probably do that aspect part, you know, with my
However you guys decide to do
yeah,
that. If Daryl can make income and
yeah.
wants to do a for-profit, or if Daryl too can't make a lot of income and goes for the nonprofit, you guys do it together. Anything is open to you like that. Yes.
All right, cool beans.
Okay. So these are just different producer programs. Growing Our Own, a new Sonoran Desert Farmers Incubator Farmer. So this is just exactly the kind of thing that I want to do. So this is something that I will look into. This is something, the kinds of programs that Tammy could look at to see what they've approved so that she could structure, as they don't even have a nonprofit or for-profit business currently, they would be in the consideration stages of how they wanted to structure it, what they want it to look like, what they want to do with it. Then she can look through all of these awards that have been provided or programs that are out there. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on here. That's where we can always call to find out exactly what they mean by their information on their website. But you can look through here and see what would be a positive thing for you. Now, this is great. Organic seed production online course. Is that free? I'm doing it, right? These are excellent things. So this is definitely well worth anyone's time who's interested in checking it out along the lines that Tammy and I have been talking about there. Okay. All right. So we only have about 20 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions about what we've talked about today? I'm putting you guys in the uncomfortable silence, just waiting to see if I can encourage one of you to speak up.
Raise those hands, gardeners and farmers.
You don't even have to raise your hand. You can just unmute yourself. Let's check out the chat and see if we have anything in there. Interesting, David. Very interesting. He says that the European Union has a CAP, that's an acronym for Common Agricultural Policy, that has good template that's respective of this process. So I'm guessing that some of the programs that we were talking about, or maybe some of the things I was talking about, he's saying that this is a good thing to go check out, just as a comparison, I guess. Okay, so we can go, and to do that, all I would do is take what he has provided there, and I would probably remove these pieces and these words right here. And let's hit enter and see what we come up with. A framework, not a template. They're picking on the word choice. Goodness, Google, that's a little rough. That guides EU countries in designing their own strategic plans for agriculture, focusing on objectives like fair farmer incomes, food security, and environmental sustainability. Very cool. And then here is that policy at a glance. And I do think it's really good to look outside of what we're doing in our own towns, in our own counties, states, and country. Many times there is something going on in another country that would be beautiful to incorporate into what we're doing here in America, such as what India has done. And I've mentioned this, it's just one of my favorite solutions that have proven to actually work. Many of the solutions, as we talk about in my own business, not every solution that we try to fix what we have broken in our environment is going to work. The land bridges in India is one that worked. So it's just a gorgeous way to allow the wildlife to cross heavily trafficked areas, because especially animals as large as like a tiger have a very broad range. And so they weren't being able to access mates because of these dangerous intersections and highways and whatever they have in India, right? So they built these gorgeous land bridges that are basically like nature just continues up over the major trafficked area and goes right back down into another natural area. And it has actually helped the tiger population in India. So those kinds of things, taking those in from other places is always a valuable tool. Absolutely, David. Thank you for sharing. All right. Okay, so Brian asked, does anyone know if any grants are considered as income which would affect my SSD payments? That's basically what Tammy and I were talking about. She too has limitations on what she can bring in as income before it affects her individual financial arrangements, right? Each grant and grant-like opportunity will have its own answer for that question, Brian. I wouldn't let it worry you. I would go out and start talking to the people and find those that aren't going to affect you negatively. All right. Any other questions that I can answer for you folks? It's that time. If you don't have any country living and business questions, go ahead. Any questions that you have, please speak up.
Joy has her hand up.
Absolutely, Joy. How can we help you today?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
You can.
Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry about the other day. Yesterday, the mic wasn't working.
Yes, it happens. I promise it happens a lot. And if you have that happen, if you don't have an external microphone that you can try unplugging and replugging back in, which is the first step if you do. If it doesn't work or you don't have that, then you want to exit the class and come back in. It's just that we were right there at the end of the class. I didn't think you'd have enough time to try that.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Well, first off, how you guys doing? I
We're
was
good.
I'm great. I'm great. I was actually in the meeting and I had to run out for a second, so I had just wrote down a few notes, and you were going into who to contact about more so non-profit organizations about grants and things like that for farming, especially. You said there was a Megan, and
You know what? Let me actually put it back where we were. I'll
sorry.
put it in the chat for you. No, absolutely. I'll
Okay.
tag them for you here. Okay. And so you're Joy. And what is your last name, Joy, so that I can tag you as well?
Well, actually, it's under the account Danis. I'm using my husband's account. Yeah, we're both on the same account. DAIN. IS?
Yep, there you are. Excellent. Okay.
Yes, case. And I think it was Megan and someone else.
Megan P. and Misty Fold.
Okay. Great.
All right. And then let's do this. You can see here, it's not out yet, and you guys can't see it on your account, but the next space we're going to be launching is the Launch a Nonprofit space. So that'll be very beneficial to you. In the meta grants, item number 25. Item number 25 is for starting and continuing a nonprofit.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. And then, like I said, that's, why didn't I do that? Let's do this first. That is out of the meta grant, so I want to make sure that you're able to get a hold of that as well. And so there is the link for the meta grant report. Also, okay, let me hop over to a different tab. In our calendar, this third main option at the top, or excuse me, it's not third, it's the second, if you're looking at the real options, not the create from the Mighty team, which you guys don't have. It's the second option here. Let's go highlight our calendar. All of the classes are here for you guys. Megan's class on nonprofits is typically today. She had some things going on and was not able to join today, but that will be next week. Thursdays, Lesko Help Presents Navigating the Nation's Grants or Funding, I can't remember, by Megan P. That is her every week class on not only nonprofits, for-profits, and just about anything in the grant world, but her passion is nonprofit. Misty Fold does not have individual lives, but you can talk to her, you can tag her and ask her questions. Okay. And then I have a piece for you. Entirely about nonprofits. And is there anything else that we can provide for you in the moment, Miss Joy? And if you're talking, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I think that was about it. It was also one more thing though. That was the USDA. It was the National Institute for Food and Agricultural. Is that development? Is that a
The Beginning Farmers and Ranchers Development Program.
Yes, that was a another grant program I did because I had just ran out to grab my daughter and I just missed that section.
I'm going to put up the links that we went over today.
Yes, okay.
So it'll have this link here, this one, and then we'll include the Beginning Farmers and Ranchers. That has already been shared into teaching sessions with Stace. You did get a notification for it. And then all of these that we talked about that I'm going to bring into the Farm Money tab. So there'll be about 8 links that are going to be available for you in a little doc that will come with this class when it gets posted.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Sabrina. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Thank you for starting the ball rolling. Hopefully we get some more classes. I can't count Tammy since she's one of our hosts and she's been doing this alongside of me. It doesn't take much courage for her to join me in sharing her voice, but thank you, Joy. It can really get the ball rolling.
Oh, great. You guys are so welcome. I appreciate the help so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And great questions as well by the audience.
And it's good questions for you too, because then we're going to refresh that, right? We're reviewing it, going over it again for everybody. So
Exactly. Right.
Thank you, dear. All right. Take Joy's example, guys. I promise we don't bite. We would love to answer any questions you have, whether it's about the material that was covered or any topic on your grant hunting search. It's now open-ended questions. And we only have about 10 more minutes, and then I go away and there won't be another class until tomorrow morning with Miss Amber, all about business with Amber. And let's just check the new time as it changed just recently, narrowed down by a half an hour, not a tremendous change, but it starts a half an hour later. So tomorrow's All About Business with Amber will begin at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 8:30 a.m. Mountain, 9:30 a.m. Central, and 10:30 a.m. Eastern for Friday's All About Business with Amber. Okay. Anyone? Anyone? All right. Well, I did want to once again offer you all the ability to join my own Mighty network because it's a free opportunity. It absolutely goes along with our rules and guidelines here in the Lesko Help community, and it is a limited time free opportunity, only available to Lesko Help members. The package is actually built for our wonderful community here, and we basically talk about what we're going to do with the agricultural land. We don't talk about that here much. I talk just barely about square foot gardening with Tammy, but we're not going to really talk about what square foot gardening is here in the Lesko Help community. So if you want to take the agricultural grants that you're getting here in Lesko Help and then learn some new methods to apply with those grants, come over and join us. And all you'll need to do is click this link here.
Hey, Sabrina, Benny has a question in the chat when you're done.
Absolutely. So this will take you right there. All you do, go down to the bottom page or click See Plans or Join Plan. The very first plan, depending on your device, it could display it a little differently, will be the free plan. Don't look at the for costs. Those aren't for you guys. Go right for that free plan and come in and join us and learn what to do with the land that you're working under the grant and grant-like opportunities. All right. Let's see here. Okay, that's funny. Benny asked, how much space is needed to effectively start a small farm and greenhouse in my backyard? And one of the books that I'm currently working on, and apparently I took back upstairs, is called Mini Farmsteading on a Quarter Acre or something. Let me just grab that for you really quickly, Benny. Okay. Good girl, good girl. We do live out here in the country, and my poor dog was scratched by a cat to the point it exposed part of her muscle. So I don't want her running up and down the stairs with me when I go. Mini farming, self-sufficiency on a quarter acre. So this person has done, I believe it was for a 4-person family. I just barely had started to read it, and it's so heavy, I had to get a book stand so that I could read it on the book stand. But a quarter of an acre will do a lot. And that's quite a bit to put in already anyway. So let me catch my breath. Start smaller rather than larger. Test out the techniques that you want to utilize. Like we talk about, Benny's over in collectively Rewilding with us quite a bit. Gotta catch my breath. There are many ways to approach farming. So you want to start smaller if it's not something that you're experienced with, so that you can see what you like and don't like as you continue to expand each year. David says, rule of thumb is if you can cultivate in your backyard, then yes, it constitutes as a farm. Each state and county can have their own designations. That's a pretty decent definition, David. I wouldn't find much to argue with there. For us here in Utah, the basic definition will be $1,000 a year for 3 years to be considered a producer so that I can get those style grant and grant-like opportunities. Whew. Yes, absolutely. I just love books. If I get an opportunity to share my books with you, I'm always going to do it. But so that's more what we talk about over in my community. That's not really what we do here, but we're winding down. Benny had a question. It's agriculture related. Of course, I'm going to get it answered. But those are the type of topics that we cover over there. So it goes along with what we're doing here. Get yourself funded and then come over and start learning different things you might want to try. Or maybe you want to share with us what you're trying and become a content creator over there yourself. All right, guys, one way or the other, I hope you all have a fabulous evening. Again, tomorrow, All About Business with Miss Amber will be at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 8:30 a.m. Mountain, 9:30 a.m. Central, and 10:30 p.m. or excuse me, a.m. Eastern. It's our earliest class, and that will be for tomorrow. And I will be with you guys again on Monday for the Buy a Home call. And I believe that starts at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, but let's just verify. Too much going on. I can't keep track of all the changes right on the top of my tongue anymore. All right. So yes, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 p.m. Mountain, 4:30 p.m. Central, and 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you all there and hope you have a fabulous weekend. Please feel free to unmute yourselves and say good night, everyone.
Buenas noches, everybody.
Good night.
Bye,
Good
guys.
night.
Enjoy your evening.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Hey, Bryce.
Sorry.
Bye, guys.